All right, so grab a pen and a pad, sit down and make yourself comfortable, because we're about to go through and I'm going to introduce you to the system I've used to generate millions in sales for various different digital brands. This system is a combination between two approaches that I've developed named the overlaps and gaps and the B.A.I.T.S system. Couple these two with established copywriting formula and you've got something that's going to make sure your product sells. Creates messages, the kind of messages that your customers can't ignore or forget. And you need to watch this because most businesses, the majority of digital businesses out there, are hemorrhaging cash completely needlessly. Thing is, a lot of people don't really understand how much they're losing and they think it's business as usual. They'll excuse their predicted lack of growth by saying things like Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn ads are just more difficult now. They're oversaturated. Sales page conversion rates are down because people have heard it all before, or, my personal favourite, email is dead. Brands across the globe in every vertical use these excuses to explain why they're not hitting targets or growing as predicted. They're using these fake justifications to get out of hot water with investors, board members or stakeholders. And they're all almost completely false. If you stick with me in this video, I'll explain why most brands don't make any real money online, the two elements every successful marketing and sales campaign needs to generate a ton of revenue, the overlaps and gaps and B.A.T.S system to create messaging that converts, and there's a little something at the end on how to get the right people to see your new improved copy, because even the best sales page, email sequence, whatever, it's not going to make sales if you don't direct the right traffic towards it. These are lessons that I've learned from 10 years as a conversion copywriter, or around 10 years, and throughout that time, these are lessons that have allowed me to achieve some pretty substantial things, such as, breathe life into the dead channel that people say is email marketing. With this one brand, 80% open rates, way above average conversion rates. You're talking 15 to 20% response rate. Helping SaaS brands grow to 6 figures in revenue, 6 figures in monthly recurring revenue within short time periods, 12 months. Generate thousands of new leads for brands on their initial launch to rocket them from $0 to thousands in MRR off the bat. And launch and grow multiple successful products of my own, which in turn have helped others grow their businesses and generate greater revenue for their clients. This system as well is used to help me generate a number of number one articles on Google for very competitive search terms. We're not talking super long tail stuff, we're talking competitive seed keywords that are ranking number one in competitive industries. And it's all because of these systems and this approach that I take. It works across the board, whether you're producing copy for anything. And I'm going to get into the overlaps and gaps model and the B.A.T.S system I use to write copy that achieves the above and more soon. But before we get into that, we have to look at the two primary reasons that brands don't make any sort of money. These are two massive problems that people have and huge mistakes that cost brands millions. Thing is, they're relatively easy to fix. So what's the first one? The first one is, who is the customer? First major issue that I see with a lot of brands is they don't know who their ideal customer is. I've spoken to countless brands who, when I ask them, who is your ideal customer, they give me this vague outline of a business, something like, e-commerce merchants, which is useless. I mean, that's way too generic. That doesn't help you really focus on who you're trying to help. Or they reel off those sort of generic, unhelpful customer persona type things like, here we go. Persuasive Pete, he likes copywriting, has a dog, enjoys football, lives in London. Doesn't really tell you anything about the person, the struggles that they're facing, the benefits that they're looking for, the transformation that's going to get them excited about your brands. So how do you actually figure out who that ideal customer is? How do you get way more specific with your marketing? And really what it comes down to is you have to kind of phone it in quite literally. You have to pick up the phone and talk to your ideal customers. Some of the biggest brands in the world even started out this way. They started just by talking to their customers. They started picking up the phone or going to see them in person and asking them, hey, what are we doing this good? What are we doing this bad? How have we helped you? Why did you find us? All of these kind of questions to figure out what it is that they want and to build an avatar of their ideal customer that's not just based on basic demographic information, but based on pain points. And you need to find out who your ideal customers are. It is the first step. It is the most important step. You need to prioritize speaking to people, and this just isn't every one of your customers. You kind of need to prioritize your ideal customers first, the people who spend the most money, make the most use of your products, or come back time and time again to buy from you multiple times. These are the ideal customers, and these are the people that you need to speak to. So what do you ask them? When talking to these perfect customers, if you like, you need to discover the below. Where they are in their business life, the major problem you can help with, the key features other solutions don't provide, their goals, their dream situation, their priority for different features and benefits. And it has to be focused on them. Too many brands focus on themselves, like, we do this, we do that. No one cares. People are inherently quite selfish, and it sounds horrible, but you need to tailor all of your copy to them. Be more on that later. To put this more simply, the information that you need to find out so that you can write copy that appeals to them is what life was like before they found you, what led them to you as a specific service or product provider, and what their life is like after using your offer. You need to find out that before that moment of highest tension, that moment of highest pain for them that forced them to go out and look for a solution, and what it's done for them. If you can figure out the before, during, and after, you've got everything that you need for a transformation type marketing angle, which is basically what people are buying for. Nobody signs up for a gym because they've got a new treadmill. They sign up because they get the wonderful beach body. You need to find out what led them to look for that gym, why they chose that gym, and how they now feel afterwards. And then you can find other people in similar painful situations and market that transformation to them. That's basically what you need to figure out, is that before, during, and after. It highlights the key benefits that will help you stand out from the competition, which brings us to the second part of the equation, which is your offer. What are you offering, and how are you tailoring it to that very, very specific audience? A woefully small number of brands have a good offer. I'm not talking about the actual product or service, not what you actually are giving the person in return for money. Often that's quite good. What is bad is the way in which they communicate that offer and what it does for the customer. They go with some generic bullshit they think will resonate, or even worse, come up with something really vague because it's what the big guns do. We'll get on to why that doesn't work for everybody later. Here's some examples of a couple of real life value propositions. Tell me if you know what it is that these brands do. Here we go. Create together. Any ideas? Even after going through their website, it took me a while to figure this out, and I'm still not 100% sure. So this is what you're greeted with on the primary homepage. And I've no clue what it is they offer from Create Together. It could be anything. Now, after going through the website, it looks like they sell equipment and services for like those fancy background images and video at live music events. But would you have understood that from the value proposition? If you were somebody who put those events on, would Create Together, would you be sitting there going, oh my God, this is exactly what we need? No, it's way too vague. What about this one? There's another one coming up in a second, and I should say that I've borrowed this from a great blog article from fellow messaging expert Jill Andrews. Could instinct make you extinct? What is this for? Would you believe me if I told you that it was for a business management consultancy? You'd never guess, would you? Especially not with the wonderful visual of a fish and a hook that has no bait. It's vague. It's bullshit. It's corporate-y, which brings us on to why most offers are weak. I mean, the majority of brands that I critique have similarly vague value props. It's often a death sentence for the brand, but when you sort of start talking to people and you boil it down to why it's so weak and so vague, it kind of comes down to one of a couple of reasons. Sometimes it's because it's what the founder or the executive board or somebody who's calling the shots thinks sounds executive, high level, or intelligent. Basically, they're going for that sort of brand angle, which most brands can't really get away with. Often it's been through so many rounds of edits by various departments. You come up with this value prop and you send it to marketing, then to sales, then to customer support, then to all of these things. And everybody edits and puts in what they think is great. And by the end of it, you've got this horrible, vague, just weak value prop. Any punch, any direct value and benefit has been edited out. And it's sometimes, and this is rarely, because the brand hasn't had time to put much thought into it. I mean, if you've developed the product, you should understand the value. Most often it's because brands are copying a more established company. everyone looks at the big guys in the industry and they go, oh, well, these guys are doing it like this, we should do it like this one too. First of all, you shouldn't care what another company is doing. Second, you can't get away with the same approach as a more established company for a number of reasons. At a foundational level, they have a completely different audience. Might be overlap, but they've grown their audience from wherever they started out to where they are now. They offer a different service to you. It might be the same service, but it's never a identical service, or else you're never going to succeed. But the biggest issue is that they have a brand and you don't, if they're some of the biggest players in the industry. I mean, take McDonald's as an example. They can get away with a simple "I'm loving it," and everybody knows that means McDonald's because they have a very, very well established brand. Even the Golden Arches alone, the M, you can be driving anywhere in the world, and if you see that, you're like, hey, McDonald's, I know that if I go there, I'm going to get a Big Mac or whatever burger. The new burger place in town can't get away with such vague, such high-level approaches to marketing. They can't be there going like, oh yeah, I'm loving it, or I'm liking it. Might be, if they copied McDonald's. If you were driving through your local, town centre, or wherever it is that you go to buy your takeout, and you saw a burger joint, or you didn't know it was a burger joint, you just saw I'm liking it, you'd have no clue what they offered. It's too vague. McDonald's can get away with it because they are who they are. You can't if you're a smaller player. The new burger place in town, they need something to differentiate themselves. They can't just rely on the logo. They can't rely on a vague value prop of like burgers. I'm liking our burgers. It's not enough. To pull customers away from McDonald's, they need something specific based on what their ideal customer has said to them about their offering. They need something that is not just what their ideal customer wants, but something that McDonald's also doesn't offer. Otherwise, you can't compete with McDonald's on fast food burgers unless you do something different. Burger King have been chasing them for decades. They're still not beating them. And if you compete on the same grounds as them, the best that you can ever hope for is to be the second best. And nobody plays this game to be second best. You've got to talk to your customers, like I said in the previous section, previous slides, and ask them, what is it that you want from us? What is it we do better than them? What is it we do that they don't do? Great offers consider who it is you're targeting, so those ideal people, the transformation your offer provides or the unique element to your marketing, and a good offer considers the price. And generally speaking, this isn't always true, but a higher price often works better. It's a topic for another day. With an offer that appeals to your perfect customer, you've got everything you need to scale up your business, right? Which is where the overlaps and gaps system helps out. The overlaps and gaps approach to defining your offer's value proposition is simple. You're looking for the overlaps between what your customers want and what you provide, but you're also looking for the gaps between what your customers want and what your competition doesn't provide. So here we go. So you can see here it's that central area where your features and benefits overlap with your biggest competitor. You forget it. You can't compete with them if they're already established and they're known for that. You've got to find what it is that you do well that your customers want that your competition doesn't offer. If there's a desire in the market your competitors aren't filling, but you are, you've got something to help position and differentiate yourself. That's your unique offer. That's what you should focus on. It's the thing you're going to put front and center, really. A little summary there. Once you have that, though, you've got to build the argument around it. You can't just be like, we offer onion rings. It's not enough. You've got to build like a full argument around it, because people are going to be asking questions like, why should I come to you? All of these things. You have to build trust that you're telling the truth. Oh, gone too far ahead there. Which is where the established copywriting formula come in. These formula help you answer the most relevant questions the user will be asking themselves in the order that they ask them, effectively removing any and all reservations they might have with going to you, a less established brand than your bigger competitors. When I do this for clients or for one of my own businesses, I tend to use a general overview template or formula. They map out what should be said in each section, and also they offer guidance on what to write at each stage. The general template, for example, for a sales page might fit with the AIDA formula. You grab attention, generate interest, build desire, and then push for the action. There we go. For users who are problem aware, the questions at each stage might fall into the below sequences. And now this is basically what you have to answer for the customer. So attention, what is your unique offer, or how does your offer help the customer? So you need to lead with that key benefit. You need to lead with something that's going to grab their attention at the very beginning. And the easiest way to do that is to front load your copy with the biggest benefit they'll get by working with you, buying from you, whatever it is that you're selling. To say something vague, like will instinct make you extinct, doesn't help anybody. But if you were to say, like, increase worker productivity by 150% if you're a management consultancy, and you go in and you help those managers better manage their team to improve productivity, somebody's going to be like, well, how can I do that? You want to front load it with that key benefit. The interest is to agitate the problem that's led them to look for this solution. You want to focus on the cost of not fixing the problem. Like, how much are they losing? How much could they be making if they fix this issue? Like, you want to just drive home that pain. Because at this point, you'll grab their attention, but like, they'll be asking, well, what if I don't do this? Why do I need to do this right now? The desire section talk about the transformational benefit of using your service and include some social proof. So say, like, on average, people who work with us achieve benefits X, Y, Z. And then you've got a couple of people, videos, testimonials, even just written testimonials, whatever it is, to say like, I worked with this brand, or I bought from these guys and this is what happened. Finally is the action, which you push the user to the next logical step in using your service. Now here's the thing, that formula, or any copywriting formula, B.A.I.T.S, AIDA, 4Ps, whatever it is that you use, whatever it is that's decided upon is best for people at that stage of awareness, they just structure the argument. They let you know what you have to say at each stage, and they'll move the customer through the relevant stages to the logical decision to spend money with you. Structure is great, and it gives you that template basically of what to say and when, but it doesn't guarantee that what you write is going to hold attention. To do that, you have to rework the angle of your copy so it's focused entirely on the customer and what they'll receive, which is where the B.A.I.T.S system comes in. So what is the B.A.I.T.S system? It makes all the copy that you produce, whether it's for a VSL, a landing page, an email, or even a print ad, they will have to abide by the B.A.I.T.S system. And what it does is it turns it into something that is going to grab attention and hold attention throughout, because it's going to be focused entirely upon the customer and their problem and how you solve it. So we're going to go through exactly what it is. You should read every piece of copy that you produce, regardless of the deliverable, from the perspective of the B.A.I.T.S system. So it's benefit driven. Do you focus on what the customer gets, or what do you provide for the customer? They don't care about the feature, only what it does for them. Features are used after the fact, often for the logical justification of why they purchased. In the moment, purchases are based on emotion. Focus on the benefits, focus on the emotion. Is it action oriented? You want your readers to not only see what this can do for them, but have the copy push them towards taking an action, often signing up to an email, purchasing right then, depending on where you are in that customer journey, stage of awareness. It has to be action oriented. You have to give them something to do. Is it intriguing? There's a lot of competition out there. One of the easiest ways to hold user attention is to intrigue them, create some fascination around the offer by teasing things at strategic points to keep them reading. Good thing to ask every so often for the benefit driven, if this is intriguing, is so what? Read every piece of, every paragraph, every sentence, and ask yourself, so what? If you can't answer that, you need to go back and make it more benefit driven or intriguing. Is it transformative? What's their life going to look like after they've paid you? Who are they going to be after they've bought your product, signed up for your service, whatever? It's the one thing that's going to keep them engaged and excited throughout, is because everybody wants the end result. That's, it's the dream. And is it specific? You need to write everything as if it appeals to a specific individual, hence the heavy focus on audience research at the start. You need to figure out what it is your ideal customer struggles with, and then write as if you're speaking to that individual person. The B.A.I.T.S system, though, only works if you understand your audience and have a well-defined offer for them. So those prior stages are key. It ensures your copy is something that will hold attention, but convince the customer you're the brand to work with, to buy from, but only if you've taken those initial steps. It's not a silver bullet. You need that initial overlap there between who your customers are and the offer. The copywriting formula allows you to attack the right questions in the right order, but the B.A.T.S system is what makes that really appealing then. Once you've done that, here we go. All you do then is use the tried and true copywriting formula and practices to create the sales page, email, or ad that appeals directly to your ideal audience. At that point, it's kind of almost a given that the asset will convert. If you can hit the below three areas, these three areas here, you're going to see continual growth with your business, quite simply. It's a great product market fit with a highly defined audience. Establish copywriting formulas to guarantee your message fits tried and true structure, and the B.A.T.S system to guarantee the words you write make a positive impression. You just then need to drive ideal customers to the asset because, like I said, this isn't Field of Dreams, you're not Kevin Costner. Just publishing that isn't going to guarantee sales. You need to get the right people to see this offer that you're going to create. Unfortunately, that is easier said than done. Too many brands waste a lot of time and money doing this. It's a topic really that requires its own training, but I'm going to cover the basics of driving the right kind of traffic here because there's a lot of crappy information out there. You've got paid acquisition, tons of information on paid acquisition, Facebook ads, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, whatever. It's difficult to find the right target audience unless you already have an established audience of buyers that you can analyze and build similar targeting out from. Search engine optimization takes time to kick in. So, if you're looking for quick gains, it's going to take a little while. And often, best practices right now for SEO is to really write something that appeals to the ideal customer. So you still have to do that customer research up front. And at the start, pay for traffic until SEO, the organic traffic, starts coming in because it starts ranking. Direct outreach, it can work, but only if very well targeted. And as you probably are aware, average email open rate's like 20%. So 80% of all of the emails that you send for direct outreach won't even get opened. Unless you've done a ton of testing like I have to figure out what are the best subject lines and approaches. A lot of brands I've worked with have wasted thousands of dollars and countless work hours trying to figure out how to get these approaches to work when there is a much easier way. It's much easier to target people who are already paying for a solution to get a similar solution. That's not necessarily stealing customers from your competitors, but finding people who are paying for complementary solutions or products and then saying to them, hey, we've got one as well. I mean, is it easier to sell a Rolex to the guy who's got the cheap Casio that cost him, $20 or $30? Or is it easier to sell a Rolex to the Rolex gang here who have all got one and they've all got another 3 at home? Who's going to be easier to sell a Rolex to? It's going to be the latter one, right? It's going to be the people who have already bought into this because these people understand the value and the quality. It's the same with any sort of marketing. It's much easier to sell to people who are already invested in what it is that you're doing than it is to convince somebody that they need this. It's very, very, very difficult to convince somebody who doesn't really even know that this is a solution, that this is the right solution for them. Almost impossible. Not impossible, but almost. It's very, very difficult. You need to find the kind of people who are already paying for offers. And there's generally two very effective ways of doing this. And these are two methods that I've used that have led to like 2 times in monthly growth for different brands. I mean, once you've got that wonderful conversion asset, be it page, an email sequence, whatever, you need to get the right people into it. And these are the best ways. And it all comes down to one of these two processes, which is borrowing authority or targeting complementary offers. So let's start with borrowing authority. And I'm going to blitz through these quick because this training is not really meant to be about traffic generation, but it is still a key part of all of this. Borrowing authority. Referral marketing. Get those who have already bought into your service to tell others they know about it, because a lot of people today are in various communities, groups, networks with like-minded people. If you can get one of the people in that community to love your product and then go to that community and go, hey, I just bought this thing. It is absolutely fucking incredible. It has saved me XYZ time, money, whatever. It's helped me achieve this. That is worth, God knows what it's worth its weight in gold, really, because an external person's approval of your brand counts for so much more than you saying we're the best, because they don't have anything to gain by this. I've used this before with an email sequence, actually, a nice referral marketing thing, and it drove a ton of signups for the brand. It was ridiculous how much it generated. You can also look at JV promos, joint venture promos with influencers and trusted sources of advice. This is where you will partner with them and you'll figure out some sort of complementary revenue share or something. You just need to find the right partnership. So, for instance, if you are a software service that provides cash flow predictions, you pair with accountant influencers or accountancy software because it is the logical add-on to those things. It's an easy way to do it because people who are already paying for those things are going to pay for this complementary service that makes their life easier. Then you've got sponsorships as well. So sponsorships are a way to borrow authority, but of course you will have to pay for it. If there are relevant newsletters, let's keep with the actual cash flow prediction. If there are relevant newsletters aimed at the financially conscious business owner, aimed at accountants, whatever, relevant groups that have ad space that they can sell, whatever, all of these people have got a perfect audience for you to approach. Now you can throw money at Facebook ads and try and get that targeting right, or you can go right to the source and be like, oh, this guy's got an email list of 30,000 people who are our perfect target audience. Why don't we just throw, a couple of grand at this person to make sure that our targeting is 100% on point? Not only are you going to get that message in front of already qualified people, but the fact that it's being sent out by the person who has built this list and has this authority is going to count for so much more. And when it comes to those things, you can sort of sponsor newsletters, YouTube channels, influencers, whatever. It's a much easier way. Ensures the targeting's right and you get borrowed authority from it. So have a quick look at complementary services. So like I mentioned before, with partnering with, say, the cash flow prediction with accounting software, you can partner with them for a JV promo. You'll not only get the benefit of the authority, but the service is truly complementary. It's a no-brainer. You can also organize things like an audience swap with Facebook ads. So you can create custom audiences and then share those custom audiences with other people. So let's say you own a messenger marketing app for Shopify. You could share your audience for engaged users with another Shopify app that helps store owners generate social proof. Both are targeting Shopify store owners who are actively paying apps to help them improve their marketing. One caveat there is obviously with GDPR, you need to make sure that both lists have had the relevant opt-ins and are allowed to share that data. So just something to think about before you run out and do it. Doing these kind of things just ensure better results in less time. Ensure, down the line, you do want to start pumping money into social ads, into Google ads, into all of these different things. But until you've really defined and you've got paying customers that you can build custom audiences out who look exactly like those people, so custom audiences and lookalike audiences, it's very difficult to get that targeting right, and you'll waste a ton of money trying to figure that out. It's much easier to quickly build your customer list by going to people who already have similar customers and saying, hey, how about we partner on this? I'll pay you for it. Then you get that seed audience that you can build out from, and it's much easier to target one audience at the beginning, make some money off them, and then spread to other audiences from there. And yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. It's the easiest way to get better results in less time and with a lower ad spend and lower man hours put in. The whole process works extremely well. And it's something that I've used time and time again to generate millions of dollars of sales, scale brands from almost nothing to profitable, create sequences that lead to higher LTV, which is not the sole reason, but in part has enabled a lot of the clients that I've worked with to secure VC funding, and which now totals over 28 mil. And let's be honest here, let's get down to the promotion. I'd love to see if I could help you do the same. But I don't help any brand because not every brand is at a point where I'm able to help them. If you're a SaaS brand, an e-commerce company, or you sell information products online, I might be able to help. However, you also need to hit 3 of the 4 following criteria. You need to have an audience of at least 5,000 people. That's 5,000 email list, 5,000 monthly traffic to a specific page, or the ability to pay for that traffic for 5,000 people per month. You're currently making a minimum of $1 million per year in revenue. You understand that good results take time to manifest. This is not going to be something where I finish the page and within 3 hours you're going to look at your bank and you're going to have another million sat there. Oof. Especially with the driving traffic, it takes a little while to actually see some results, but the final criteria is that you're willing to follow my instruction and offer full ownership of this copy process and the messaging process to me. If that sounds interesting and you want to work with me to try and achieve some of the results that I've got for other people as well, for your brand, and you want me to implement the overlaps and gaps, the B.A.I.T.S system and the copywriting formula, and figure out who it is that you're targeting and where, to really just create a message that sells, book a time to speak with me. There's a 20-minute free exploratory call with you, and if I'm able to help, then we can progress from there. But in that 20-minute call, we'll try and figure out the major issue that you're facing, and at the end of each of these, I try to get you away with at least one actionable piece of advice. We say they're 20 minutes, they're usually around 30. Yeah, book it through the below, let me know how I can help, and we'll try and figure out at least one actionable thing that you can go away and do to improve your marketing. And on that call, if there's something else that I can help with, we can figure out something more. But don't delay. That's everything you need to know about creating messaging that converts. Very high level, but it is the core of creating messages that make millions. Any questions? Feel free to drop them below.